What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the podcast. I hope you are ready for some real talk today because that's what I've got for you. Here's my question. What is the reason that you tell yourself that you're stuck, that your business isn't growing the way you want it to? I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that one of the most frequent thoughts that runs through your head, if not the most frequent thought, is I'm too busy. I'm too busy to learn something new. I'm too busy to hire somebody, to train somebody. I'm too busy to consistently market. And if I stop working on clients, I'm so busy with clients, but if I stop working, then the whole thing falls apart. Now, I'm going to tell you that that's probably one of the most common things I hear out of my clients' mouths. The real reason underlying that you're probably not even aware of is fear. And we'll talk about what that means later in this episode. I'm starting a little mini series here to celebrate launching the High Profit Society at the end of April. So in the series, we're going to cover growing your business. That's today. Growing your profits. That'll be next Thursday. And growing your bank account. And the most common struggles or hurdles that I see my clients having to get past in order to grow their business, their profits, and their bank account. Those are all the things that we're focusing on in the High Profit Society. So let's dive into the first one, how to grow your business. The biggest hurdle that I see people having when it comes to growing your business. This is the number one reason, probably, if I was to go back and tally it up, why I hear people saying why they can't grow their business has something to do with time management and busyness. So in this episode, we're going to talk about how you can prioritize what is the most important thing for you to focus on right now at whatever stage of business you're at so that you can grow your sales. This is the Profit and Prosper podcast, the podcast that empowers female entrepreneurs to make more money, become financially independent, and live prosperously. I'm your host, Sarah Young, an entrepreneur and business and wealth coach who has worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs to create more profitable, sustainable businesses. So you are so busy, right? And you keep telling yourself, when this busy season ends, when this crazy time, whatever's going on ends, I will take the time to learn a new thing or hire a new person or fix whatever problem is coming up in your business. Except the reality is the busyness never ends because what you don't realize is you've actually trained yourself to stay busy all the time. Your habit is busyness. Your identity is busyness. You keep doing the same things day in and day out, right? Continuing to book tons of meetings, taking on more and more work, hoping that will somehow help you break through wherever, like the plateau you're at in your business. The reality is there are certain places in business where revenue does tend to get stuck, and you have to make a shift to bust through the plateau. Go listen to episode 107, where I talked about my own roadblocks that I had to face and how I had personally to go through a shift to get through those roadblocks. So if your identity is rooted in the busyness, or maybe it's busyness to avoid the fear that you have of doing the new things, doing the uncomfortable things. Maybe it's getting more visible. Maybe it's actually going out and actively putting yourself out there and marketing. Whatever the thing is, you're afraid of doing the uncomfortable things. And so you stay, quote unquote, busy doing things that you think are going to move you forward, except they actually don't. Changing your identity is scary, right? Changing the way that you view yourself as a person is something that your brain literally will fight you on, because our brains are structured to basically use as little energy as possible. Changing your identity uses more energy, right? You have to build literally new pathways in your brain. When I learned this, it honestly made me feel so much better about why this stuff is just so hard, okay? But here's the thing. What it is that got you to where you are sitting right now will keep you where you are right now. If you want different results, if you want to break through and grow your business to the next level, you need to start practicing spending your time doing different things. So how do you do that? How do you overcome the busyness and the fear of change, the fear of putting yourself out there in a different way? The answer is not by making some massive change all at once. Like, I want it all right now. I get it. Like, we all want results fast. it's not going to happen. Like, you're not going to have sustainable results by making a massive change all at once. And I'm really big on sustainability. So in episode 111, which you can also catch on my YouTube channel, I talked about 2 tactics for when you feel overwhelmed at the idea of change, the mindset work, and then by making incremental progress week after week. So I'm not going to dive super deep into those 2 things. You can go listen to that episode or watch it on my YouTube. But what I want to talk about is, how do you prioritize what incremental progress you do need to make? How do you prioritize your time if you already feel maxed out? What should you focus on first if your goal is to grow your business? First, let's tactically answer this question of, how do you grow your business? Like, what are the things you need to make more sales? There's 4 things. Number 1, you need an offer that people want. 2, you need to generate more leads for that offer. 3, you need to convert more sales to turn those leads into clients. And 4, you need to serve more clients in that offer. An offer that people want, generate more leads, convert more sales, serve more clients. Doesn't it sound really simple when you boil it down? It is simple. Like, that is the thing, is that successful, profitable businesses tend to be pretty boring once you figure out the formula. Once you figure out exactly what the offer is that people want from you, how to generate leads for that offer, what to say to convert the sales, and then how to serve clients really well. Once you figure out that formula, things can get pretty boring and simple. But boring and simple is pretty profitable. Those are the things that you know you need to focus on. So let's say that you're sitting here and you're like, okay, that sounds super easy, but in reality, it's not as easy to actually implement in my business. So how do we prioritize your time? So I'm just coming off of our quarterly planning calls, and something that comes up almost every single quarter that we do these quarterly planning calls, that I do these with my clients, is wanting to jam pack so much more into your weeks and months and your quarter than you can reasonably accomplish. You get stuck in this perfectionist loop where you imagine, right? You make a plan for the quarter, for the week, for the month, whatever time frame you're planning on. And you imagine, like, how, if everything just went perfectly, smoothly, and how much you're going to be able to get done, and how good it's going to feel, and how everyone's going to come flocking to you when you do all the things the right way. And then reality sets in. Things pop up that take you off plan. Things change. Maybe your energy fluctuates and you just don't want to do the thing that you slated for that day. Maybe you are actually, you have fear of doing the actual thing, maybe doing different things, and that keeps you from actually implementing the plan. And then you start to feel really down on yourself for not actually accomplishing this perfect plan that you had. And then the only way that you feel better is to do it again, because in your mind, you're perfect and everything's going to be so happy and so great. I'm saying this because I have been caught in this loop so many times in my past, and it's something that I've actively had to work against, okay? So what we have to do instead is stop overscheduling things, stop overextending ourselves, and really get good at prioritizing what is important and then letting go of what's not. So let's talk about what is important at each stage of business. And what you really need to prioritize if your goal is to grow and your goal is to create an offer that people want, to generate more leads, convert more sales, and serve more clients. So if you're new in business, here are the things that I think you need to focus on. Newbies in business, you've got a lot of stuff to learn. And I hope that by listening to me, you can bypass some of the tough things, the tough lessons I personally had to go through, where people new in business or people making, 0 to 5K months-ish, really, in a lot of cases, try to bypass the foundational work and bypass actually talking to real people. So I had somebody in my DMs. So her Instagram was for marketing, like she was creating a marketing firm for businesses. And she was saying, I've built out this offer, I'm posting content, and like no one's engaging. No one cares. No one's listening. No one's booking calls. And I'm like, have you talked to real people? Have you validated the offer? Do you understand the messaging? Have you established authority? I think that we can really get caught up in all of these things when we have, newer or smaller businesses, like having the perfect website and the perfect logo and the perfect brand and posting the perfect content on social media and thinking that all of those things are going to lead to results, but it's really not. The things that really matter are that you create an offer and go and actually talk to real ideal clients, real human beings, in order to validate that the offer is something that they want and would pay money for. And the way that you validate that, the way that you know it's the real deal is people are willing to pay you for that offer, right? So validating an offer and then really focusing your energy on giving great results in order to get referrals, in order to get testimonials and establish that you are a legit person that people can come buy stuff from. Posting content on social media, at least in the short term, really does not establish that credibility. You establish the credibility by doing good work for people. Now, I do think there is definitely something to starting to build an audience early on. So building an audience on the social media platform of your choosing, that can take time to really build a good audience. And then ideally, converting that into an email newsletter, getting people on your email list so that you build that up over time and you have a way to sell to people. But ultimately, if you're newer in business, if you're doing anything that isn't related to those things, it is probably going to be a waste of time. You can spend all of this time and money on creating a website and branding and all of it. It's going to change. You're going to get a year or two into business, maybe even months into business, and you're going to realize that what you thought at first is not actually what the reality is. It's not what you're selling. It's not the ideal client you have. And so it really doesn't matter. You don't need it to be perfect. You just need it to be good enough, minimally viable to put yourself out there. So prioritizing those things. Now, when you run your business for a little longer and you get yourself up past, mid 4-figure months up to 8 to 10K-ish months, around 6 figures, if you listened to this podcast for a while, you've probably heard me say multiple times that 100K mark is really hard to maintain. It's so much harder to maintain than people even think that it is, that people realize it is. And it's really not even worth the effort because 100K in sales is not nearly enough to pay you the money that you probably want from your business. So when you get to that 8 to 10K mark, the reason it's hard is because you really have to get good at prioritizing your time, managing your time between the doing and the selling. And so at that point, you probably have a good number of clients that you're dealing with. You probably can only afford some part-time support at 100K. Like you don't have the budget really to go hire anybody full-time unless you just can, afford to not pay yourself at all from your business, which most of us can't. And you also have to continue marketing and selling to keep filling your pipeline. And so this is for me where the first identity shift I had was from not a business owner to being a business owner. The 6-figure mark was the second identity shift I had, but the first one that was really hard for me was learning that I needed to pull back some and really deciding to do things wildly differently than the way that I had been running them. Because what got me to around 10K months is absolutely not what got me to 20, 30, 50K months. So what we need to prioritize when you're at that level is just getting really good at what you do. So when you're at that level, getting really good at what you do means you probably just need to focus on one offer. Sometimes I do like to have 3 offers in my offer suite, but typically those offers are going to all have the same promise. It just maybe is shifting the level of service that you provide between the different levels of offers. I don't really want to go into like offer suites right now, but when you're at this level, we need to focus on either having one core offer that you do really, really well, or if you do have an offer suite, making sure that it is niched or specialized so that the offers are really, really easy to generate leads for, generate sales for, and deliver so that you can then hire team support, the team support you need to get you out of the day-to-day client work, at least to, maybe not 100%, but at least pulling you out of doing every little bit of the day-to-day. That means you can then go and do the work to generate more leads and more sales to get yourself up to the next level in business, right? So when we're prioritizing, again, it's really focusing on optimizing the offer you have, optimizing the pricing too, of course, and then being really clear on the ideal client and how you are going to generate those leads, converting the leads into customers, and then serving them well. So they renew and then become referral sources for you. Okay. So those are really the core things that you have to figure out. Now, let's say you get past that and you're now at multi six figures. So, this could be your next sticking point anywhere from, 20, 25, 30K up to my personal sticking point was at 50K. And this is yet another shift you have to make in your identity and the way you prioritize. So if you're at multi six figures, wanting to get up into high six figures, seven figures, you have to fully step into the CEO role. You have to let go of the day-to-day. Think about the things that the CEO in a business needs to focus on. I say those things are strategy, sales, team leadership, and your self-care. Really, you have to look at the way that you're spending your time and start to get pretty brutal with saying no to the things that are taking up your time and your energy that are not those four things: strategy, sales, team, and self-care. Now, when we think about actually implementing what I said, the four areas, this is where things can go off the rails. So with strategy and sales, I think a lot of times, and I did this too, okay? I learned the lesson. Take it from me. Don't do this if you can avoid it. You don't need a new strategy. You don't necessarily need a whole new sales mechanism to take your business to the next level. You just need to really get good at whatever got you to multi six figures and increase the volume there. So one of the things that people push back on the most is, but I'm gonna get most of my clients from referrals, right? Referrals are theoretically harder to scale because you can't always guarantee when somebody's going to get you a referral. And I agree with that to an extent. It's not like, let's say if you had an ads campaign, you would know that if you spent this much money on ads, you would get this many leads, hopefully, if your ads work. Referrals aren't necessarily like that, but you can actually capitalize even more on those referrals. You can create case studies. You can turn that into marketing collateral, because I think some of the most powerful marketing collateral we can have is when people hear from our clients in their words. You can create referral programs that really excite your people to bring you more people. You can make it a priority to ask. You do not have to create a whole new strategy or a whole new sales process to get your business to high six and seven figures. You just have to continue to get really good at what you're doing. You also don't have to create all new offers. You don't have to implement, courses or group programs or any of these things that everyone is always saying are super scalable to get your business to seven figures. You just have to get really clear about the volume and capacity that you need to maintain in order to do more of what you're currently doing. And you probably really need to just double down on focusing on the things that work really well for you, okay? The other thing I think that can go off the rails is the self-care piece. So a lot of the times when I work with clients who are at this level, they are not prioritizing their own self-care. If you've heard my story, you know that I absolutely struggled with this. Even, starting just about a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago, I actually started making progress on taking care of my own health and taking more time away from work. That can be really hard for people who are at this level because have been successful by really putting everything I've got into my business. And it can be hard to understand that, hey, actually, if I take a step back in terms of time, if I prioritize sleep and eating well and maintaining my energy, that can actually make me a more effective team leader. It can make me more effective in my marketing. It can make you more effective just across the board. And that's a huge identity shift that's really scary because it can feel like, hey, I'm afraid to step away from my laptop. I'm afraid to not reply back immediately to people. I'm afraid to maintain boundaries, the boundaries that you need around your calendar to be able to take more care of yourself. But you absolutely have to shift to taking care of your own self in order to become the next level of leader that you need to be to manage a business at that level. All right, so that is it for what we need to prioritize at each level of business. When you are feeling busy, when you're feeling like your time is out of control, you don't have control over your schedule, what you want to do is start to maintain boundaries and start to really get just a lot more, what's the word I want to use? Brutal? Not brutal, but serious maybe is a better word. Serious about saying no to things that don't align with the next level version of yourself and your business. And understanding that this internal thought you have of being busy and not having the time to figure this stuff out is exactly the thing that is keeping you from growing your business. So if you are a business owner, which you probably are if you're listening to this podcast, and your goal is to grow your business, your profits, and your bank account, then you are going to want to get on the waitlist for my brand new membership, the High Profit Society. In the society, we are building a community of women who are serious about creating financial health and freedom through profitable, sustainable business growth. We are done with not being able to pay ourselves, with being overworked and underpaid, and we're ready to build the skills you need for higher profits, more CEO pay, and a plan to build wealth that you carry out with confidence. Go to sarahhyoung.com/membership to get on the waitlist so you can get early access when I open the doors around the end of April and first dibs on founding member spots, which is going to have an insane monthly rate locked in forever and some other bonuses that you definitely do not want to miss. One other thing I actually almost forgot is I'm running also to celebrate the launch of the membership, a free challenge, the Profit Plan Challenge. So you can sign up for the Profit Plan Challenge. What we're going to do over the course of 5 days is walk through my process for creating a plan to grow your profits by 10K or more. Okay. So we'll put the link in the show notes to sign up for the challenge. And that is going to run from April 22nd through Friday, April 26th. We're gonna have a pop-up Facebook group. We're gonna have daily live calls with me. It'll be super fun. And I'm really excited to do a challenge. It's been a while since I have done one. So make sure you go get signed up for that. And then tune in next week for the next episode in this little mini series I'm doing all about how to grow your business, grow your profits, and grow your bank account. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Listening and learning is great, but implementing what you learned is even better. So what's one thing you can do this week to make more money in your business, save for your financial future, and start living your most prosperous life? If you found this episode helpful, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and share with a friend because it helps me reach more amazing female entrepreneurs like yourself. See you in next week's episode.